Hello dear students. Today we'll discuss about Scoliodon external features. I am Dr. P. Rosina George, Assistant Professor in Geology, St. Joseph College for Women, Visakhapatnam. We are going to discuss about the Scoliodon systematic position, external features, questions based on the topic and the learning outcomes are: you will learn the systematic position of Scoliodon in the animal kingdom, and you will understand the different external characteristics of Scoliodon. Let's see the systematic position of Scoliodon. It belongs to phylum Chordata, subphylum Gnathostomata, superclass Physis, class Convictus, order Squaliformis, family Scoliodon, and species Sauropoda. Let's see some of the external features. Body is elongated, fusiform, or spindle-shaped and laterally compressed. Body is divisible into three regions in Scoliodon, that is head, trunk, and tail. Head is dorsoventrally flattened with a pointed rostrum or snout. Trunk is almost oval in transverse section and gradually tapers behind. Tail, forming the posterior half of the body, is slightly bent upwards. Body surface is rough due to placoid scales, which is embedded in the skin. Color of body is dark gray dorsally, pale white ventrally. Appendages of dogfish are fins, which are flap-like outgrowths of body wall. Two sets of fins occur, which are unpaired or median fins, paired or lateral fins. In case of median fins, these are two dorsal fins, a ventral or anal fin, and a caudal fin. The first dorsal fin is large and triangular in shape and is situated a little in front of the middle of the body. The second dorsal fin is also triangular in outline but is very small and is situated midway between the first dorsal and the tip of the tail. The caudal fin extends along the dorsal and ventral surfaces of the tail in the median line and forms a dorsal and ventral lobe. The ventral or anal fin is situated in the mid-ventral line about 5 cm in front of the caudal fin, more or less opposite the second dorsal. Each of the two dorsals and ventral fin are produced behind into long and narrow fleshy processes called basal lobes. The lateral fins are paired pectoral and pelvic fins. The large pectoral fins originate from the ventrolateral margins of the body immediately behind the gill clefts. The pelvic fins are much smaller than the pectoral fins and arise close together from the ventral surface at the junction of the trunk and tail. In the male Scoliodon, the medial part of each pelvic fins is produced into a dorsally grooved, stiff rod-like clasper which is used during copulation. All the fins are directed backwards, a feature which is advantageous in forward progression. On each side of the head is a large circular eye. Each eye has two poorly formed immovable eyelids and nictitating membrane located enteroventrally. The pupil is narrow and vertical. Let's see some of the body apertures in Scoliodon. Mouth, in case of mouth, which is a transverse crescentic opening lying ventrally on head. Mouth, it is bounded by upper and lower jaws, each bearing one or two rows of sharply pointed and backwardly directed teeth. In case of nares, which is also called as nostrils, they are present ventrally and anterior to mouth and on each side. The nostrils are only olfactory and have no respiratory functions. External gill slits, which is present behind the eyes, are situated a series of vertical slits, 5 on each side, called branchial or gill clefts. These apertures lead into the gill pouches and thence into pharynx. These are respiratory in function. The cloacal aperture is an elongated median opening at the root of the tail between two pelvic fins. It leads into the cloaca, into which the intestine and urinary and genital ducts open. Anus lies anteriorly and in the cloaca, and a cone-shaped papilla bearing urinary pore in female and urinogenital pore in male located behind the anus. There is a pair of openings situated on the elevated papilla on either side of the cloaca. These are called abdominal pores. Through these pores, the coelom communicates with the exterior. At the root of the tail, just in front of the caudal fins, is a small dorsal and a ventral shallow depressions, which are called the caudal pits. The caudal pits are the characteristic feature of the genus dogfish, and a faint line runs on either side of the body, extending from the head to the posterior end of the tail. This is called the lateral line. It marks the position of an underlying canal which runs along each side of the body and contains special receptor organs. On the head and snout open several groups of minute ampullary ports of the receptors called ampullae of Lorenzini. When pressed, they exude mucus. The body is invested by an outer leathery covering called as skin or integument. In dogfish, the skin or integument consists of two layers, an outer ectodermal epidermis and an inner mesodermal epidermis. The epidermis is composed of many layers of epithelial cells, amongst which are interspersed numerous unicellular mucous glands secreting mucus for lubricating the body surface. The dermis The dermis comprises dense areolar connective tissue mixed with smooth muscle fibers, blood capillaries, pigment cells, and nerves. Just below the epidermis are found pigment cells, the melanophores or chromatophores. The dermis is firmly attached to the underlying muscles. The roughness of the skin is due to the presence of closely lying minute dermal denticles called placoid scales, which are arranged in regular oblique rows and form the exoskeleton of the shark, covering the entire surface of the body and even parts of the fins. Innermost layer of cells rest on a basement membrane and which is called as stratum germinatum. Take a pause and answer these questions. How many dorsal fins does a shark have? 1, 2, 4 or 8? What is the purpose of the lateral line? To camouflage the shark, to help sense movements in the water, to filter water, to help the shark eat. Answers are dorsal fins. There are 2 dorsal fins. Answer is B. And for the second question, answer is also B. That is to help sense movement in the water. That is the purpose of lateral line. To summarize this topic, the external features of Scoliodon reflect its adaptation to a predatory lifestyle in the marine environment, combining efficient locomotion, sensory capabilities, and protective structures. These are some of the references for this topic. Thank you so much.